下落嚟係今次大會嘅壓軸主題，領袖嘅蛻變。而家我哋有請美安集團資深顧問 ，Please welcome Senior Consultant of Market America, Kevin Buckman。
Thank you. All right. Great weekend, great speakers. I hope you take everything you learned this weekend and apply it to your business to really help you get going and building that residual income you desire. You know, yesterday I talked about that 99 degrees. In other words, that extra 1 degree means nothing unless we have what? Super hot water. I like to use that analogy because this business, I started as a Market America unfranchised owner going on almost 27 years now. Okay, so I started back in the garage. Okay, the picture was shown. I never did anything like this. Like many of you, I never did anything like this. I was actually a management consultant in the commercial nuclear power business. Okay, and we generated electricity. Okay, one of the top 3 electrical generating companies in the United States. And so this was very, very new to me. Okay, and it was a learning experience. And just like it is for most all of us, it's a learning experience. And the thing is those success and those failures, you need to look at those things as learning opportunities. Okay, they're crucial to the development of your business. Okay, so pay attention along the way. Those failures can actually be attributes to you being successful. I know many of you have seen Mark has a presentation, and Mark likes to have fun with me, okay, in that presentation. But if you'll notice, if you ever see the presentation again, you'll notice he shows a picture of the Powerline magazine. Okay, one of the very first one, in the first year. And the one was in May of 1993. I was on the cover of, or at least inside the first page, okay, of the Powerline. As I was distributor of the month. Distributor of the month. And guess what I was? I was an executive coordinator. An executive coordinator. So I got in the Powerline. Back then, we used to get awards for coming in with 3 centers. In other words, we used to get up on stage. Okay? So the thing is, I was in the Powerline as an executive coordinator, May of 1993. Now, why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this with you because I started in May of 1992. Took me 1 whole year to finally become an executive coordinator. Okay, I share that to demonstrate it was a learning experience. 12 whole months, a whole year. Some of you think, if you're not, going to director in 12 months, there's something wrong with you. It took me a whole year. Now, the reason it took me a whole year is because I flushed a couple times. I purged at least once, okay? And I kept going, back to zero, starting over and over and over. Now, I could have got frustrated. I could have pointed the finger and blamed everybody, got very, very upset. And, like many times when things don't go right, we really get upset. But the thing is I didn't quit, and I learned from those mistakes. And I used those mistakes to make sure that my people, my team, didn't make the same mistakes. And I strive to make that happen. And I ended up, by not quitting, ended up creating a 6-figure ongoing residual income for 23 years. Okay? But the thing is you need to learn. You need to learn, and what you need to do is share that learning as you lead your organization, and you don't let your organization lead you. Now that brings me to the topic for the end of leadership school. And leadership school is about leadership. And that's what I want to talk about today. Okay? You know, this business works perfectly. It works perfect. Perfect. Doesn't it, Frank? It works perfect. Until we introduce the people into it. It's when we introduce the people into it, the work begins. The work begins. That's where the work is. It's dealing with the people. It's getting 100 people to do that, every one of them to do 1%, so that they all, as a team, can be in a position to generate significant ongoing residual income. But it's about leading the masses, and that requires leadership. You heard me close yesterday with what? Your level of success in this business is going to be directly proportional to your willingness to take personal responsibility for the end result. Nobody else. Has nothing to do with your upline, your downline, your cross line, the company. It's about you. That's the first place we start. Okay? Now, how do we get that water to 99 degrees Celsius? How do we get that water? It's all about leverage. It's about getting what? It's about getting 100% results, okay, by getting 1% out of 100 people's efforts versus solely relying on one person to do 100% of the work. And that requires leadership. That requires leadership. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through, okay? I've taken that the concept of leadership, and what I've done is I've applied pin levels, something we can recognize, something that we can identify with, okay? And walk you through this, okay? This is the evolution of a leader, all right? Now, the thing is you are going to have to grow in this business to become successful. You are going to have to grow personally. You are going to have to become a leader. Some of you say, well, you know, I'm not a born leader. Well, leaders aren't born. Leaders are made. And it's very easy to become a leader. So take that excuse away. The best way to become a leader is be an example. Lead by example. Walk whatever you're talking. Okay? You set the example, other people will follow. All right? But I want to talk about there's 5 levels, okay? To keep it simple. 5 levels of leadership. All right? And what you need to realize, the higher level of leadership, the greater the effectiveness. What are we trying to affect? Why do we want to be effective? We need to be effective to move what? In this analogy, 100 people to do 1%. Now, what's the 1%? The 1% is what I shared with you yesterday. Everybody finds what? 150 to 250 BV right out of the gate that they are going to what? Switch brands of products to products they're going to sell and represent. Your market Hong Kong products. And for all other products, goods, and services you're currently buying from some other business establishment, you're going to buy them from the same what? The same products, the same goods, the same services, from the same stores. The only thing you're going to do different is you're going to buy them through your shop.com site. The other thing you're going to do is make sure that you have 60 to 300 names, possibilities, of which to introduce the product and introduce the business to through conversation at all times. So if you start with 60 to 300 names, then you're going to add names every single week, 2 per day, 5 days per week, so that you always have 60 to 300 names. And you always have possibilities in which to share the product and share the business with. Is everybody with me? And then at the same time, you're going to build a repeat retail customer base to the point where you are generating in excess of 600 BV of repeat business every single month. And you're going to share, expose the business, show the plan to 4 qualified individuals or more each month as part of growing and expanding your sales and distribution organization. And then all your business partners, you're going to make sure that they do what? That they get educated. Everybody needs to buy 3 tickets. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you haven't bought 3 tickets to the next event, the next major event that they're selling here right now, what you're saying is, I'm not committed to building my business. I'm not going to apply what I've learned here this weekend and spent all of this time and the money and everything else involved and associated, with this weekend. What you're demonstrating and saying is, I'm not going to apply what I learned to go get 2 new business partners, because you should be buying 3 tickets, 1 for you and 2 for 2 new people. If you're not doing that, you're kidding. You're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. And what are you kidding yourself about? That you want to build a business that generates an ongoing significant income. I'd like to say it different, but that's just the way it is. So if you're serious about the business, you'll buy your 3 tickets so that you get what? You've got 2 new people here at convention next year. Period. End of story. That's what it is. It's a demonstration of commitment to your business. Not Market Hong Kong. Your business. Your business. Now, that's what we need to do. And the thing is everything I'm sharing with you, we need to what? Duplicate. That's really what it's about. Okay? The 1% are those 6 things, those 6 action items I shared with you yesterday. That's the 1%. So what we need to do is get what? 100 people doing those 6 action items, that 1%, so that we get 100%. Does everybody follow this? Okay? But that's where the difficulty comes in. Like I said earlier, the business works perfect until we what? Introduce the people. But this is what we got to do. That's why we have to become leaders, so that we can effect and motivate and get everybody rowing in the same direction. Okay? So, when we think of you got to understand, leadership is not developed in a day. It's developed daily. Okay? You learn daily. These are things that you acquire. They are skills that you acquire, a collection of skills over time. It has many faces. Leadership represents many faces to us. Okay? Some of the things we think about respect. When we think of leadership, we think about respect. Okay? We think about people that have experience. We think of emotional strength. Leaders have emotional strength. They have timing. They seem to be able to do the right thing at the right time to get the right result. We think of people skills. We think leaders have people skills. They know how to deal with difficult people. Trust me, that's going to be some of your biggest challenge. People have egos. And you're always trying to get everybody together and keep everybody in unison, okay, and working as a team. It requires discipline, not only self-discipline, but learning to be disciplined with your team. Is everybody with me? Not only, in other words, when I made all those mistakes over those first 12 months in the business, okay, I learned to be disciplined. I started learning to get my paperwork in on time. I started learning to do things correctly and not just a C+ job or a C-, because the consequences were devastating, okay? But the thing is you also have to transfer that to your people. Oftentimes it's called tough love. In other words, we can't enable people to be weak. Does everybody follow me? We need to create leaders as well. Not only do we need to be leaders, but we need to create and develop leaders, okay? So we think people have vision. When we think of leadership, we think about people that have vision. And it's true. You've got to have a vision. You have to have something that you are focused on to keep you going. So that I always say, guess what? In order to get to it, you got to go through it. In order to get to it, you're going to have to go through it. Sometimes that's just the way it is. And you need to be able to communicate that and transfer that to all of your people. That's part of it. Okay? Now, momentum. We think, leaders have a way of getting momentum. Momentum is that thing intangible. Once you get that, it's almost like, when things are going good, they keep going good. Of course, it works the other way too. But a lot of times that's a choice because we tend to look at things. I always tell people, don't focus on the negative. Don't give energy to the negative. You address the negative. Okay, and I learned that in the first 12 months. When I flushed, I purged, did all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you what, rather than focusing and spending a lot of time, energy, and effort focusing on the negative, the mistake, the consequence, trying to rationalize it wasn't my, whatever it may be, the point is, I got off of it and I just started doing what? It's one of those things I had to go through in order to get to where I wanted to go. Again, in order to get to it, you got to go through it. But you need to learn from it. Because it'll make your team, as you build your team, it'll make your team stronger because you'll be able to pass those experiences on to create that team discipline. Okay? But that's where you get that momentum once it gets going. But the thing is don't give energy to negative things. You'll just make them grow. You just make them grow. And all of a sudden they become bigger. They become bigger than they really are. So make sure you don't do that. Move on. Okay? And a lot of that has to do with having a clear vision with respect to the team as to where we're going and what our goals and objectives are. Okay? But bottom line is what? The first person you must lead is yourself. The first person, and the first step in leadership, the first person is you must lead yourself. You need to ask yourself, would I follow me? Would I follow me? Am I doing the things that I want my people to do? Am I doing what I want my team to do? Well, we're talking about that 1%. That's why we spent a lot of time yesterday on that. Am I doing that 1%? Because that 1%, those 6 items is what we need to do what? 100 people to do. That's what we need to have duplicated. So the first person you need to be able to lead is you. Now, what I've done here is that we're going to go through these levels, all right? First level, okay, and I'm just going from a UFO to executive coordinator, all right? That's level 1. That's the position. You're a position leader. You have the right to be leader because you have a title. The second level is executive coordinator to professional coordinator, okay? That's where we're talking about permission. Permission. Your team is giving you permission to be the leader, okay? All right, that's where you develop relationships. PC, professional coordinator, national supervising coordinator, that's at level 3, production, all right? Production, that's where you're getting results. Your team is creating results, BV's flowing. I'm going to get into the details of this. And then the fourth level is people development. Okay, people development. Okay, that's where you're starting to reproduce. That's where you're starting to get that duplication by everybody. The first 3 is you're setting the stage, and then the fourth is where you're starting to get duplication. You're also starting to develop leaders. It's very important. This is really where each and every one of us that aspire to an ongoing 6-figure annual income for many, 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 many years, this is the level we all aspire to. Because we have many, many, many leaders that we've helped to develop that are going to carry on what needs to be done to keep that ongoing regeneration of volume. Okay? I always tell people, you can never have enough people making significant money. I always tell people right out of the gate, they say, what should be, if you people come up to me and say, can you give me one tip? One tip. Okay? That's part of my local challenge. And I always say, tip number 1, your goal and objective in this business right from the beginning is to get one person on the left and one person in the right team making more money than you. Your goal and objective right out of the gate should be getting one person on the right and one on the left, okay, making more money than you. If they're making more money than you, they're going to continue to do what? Do whatever they got to do to keep that money going, am I right? And what happens to you? You at least get that. Does everybody follow this? That's residual income, okay? All right, let's take a look at level 1. Level 1, okay? You have a position. You are the leader because you have a position. You have a title. Therefore, you have the right. We all had 9-to-5 jobs where we've had what? A supervisor, a boss, or whatever, okay? We don't think really he has much going on for him or she. But the thing is she is the leader or he is the leader. Why? Because they're the supervisor. They have the title. And we must follow, okay, because we feel because we have to. Okay? But at level 1, you've got to realize, okay, when you first come into this business as a UFO, guess what? As soon as you sponsor someone, you are now the leader of the person you sponsored. Why? Because your position is that you've been in longer than them and you know more than them. But other than that, that is your only right to be the leader, is because of your position. Does everybody follow this? Okay? Now, the trouble here is you can't extend your influence beyond that title. You have no ability to extend that influence with anybody other than the person you sponsored. Does everybody follow this? Or let's say you've got a group of 4 or 5 people, and they're all brand new in the business. You are what? You're still the leader of that team, but you can't influence, okay, beyond those 5 people. You don't have the right, okay? So and a lot of times what you'll see is I'll see people that seem to just stay there at that title, no talent, okay? I think that's on the next slide. They have title but no talent because they're not growing. They're not even attempting to grow. I got my 5 people, 6 people, my team of 7, and what they do is they kind of lord over them and they smother them. And the thing is, don't talk to these people, don't go here, don't do this, don't do this, don't do... And what it does is it smothers people. It smothers growth. Why? Because they're not growing. If they grew, their ability to deal without other influences would be what? Be much better, and it would be better for the team. But the thing is, when I see people, okay, that are smothering their people, I think, level 1 leader. Title, no talent. Okay? All right. Leadership, again, like I said, here's some of the symptoms. Now, I know everybody in here thinks they're a level 4 leader already. Okay? I hear this all the time. I see, well, not everybody in here, but like I'll get with some of the people that, advisory council members. I'll have this talk with them. Okay? And a lot of them, they'll go like, well, I'm a level 4. Everybody's a level 4. And I'm thinking, you need to pay attention to what I'm saying. Because if you have these symptoms in your organization, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay? But level 1 leaders have a very difficult time dealing with volunteers. They have a difficult time dealing with volunteers. Why? Because there's no monetary leverage. In other words, nobody's punching the clock. You can't dock their play. Everybody in here is a volunteer. You can't fire them. Does everybody follow this? You can't fire them. So when I see organizations or I see teams where, there's a problem with the leader and the people in the organization, because they're not doing exactly what they say, they are having trouble. The fact they don't have to. They're giving you have the right because you have the title, but they're here voluntarily. You have no monetary leverage. So we're in a business where we have to work with volunteers. So we have to acquire those people skills. Okay? They have difficult working with white collar, people that come from white collar jobs. Why? Because in a white collar job, they want to participate in the decisions. You got to realize 99% of the people that work this business, they work this part-time. They have a full-time job. Okay? Some of them are big in their careers, some of them not in the middle, some of them lower level. But the thing is, they're coming from other careers into this and working this business as a part-time business until such time they can have an opportunity to make a decision what they want to do, continue on or do full-time, okay? So the thing is people like that, when you get white-collar people coming in, you need to realize they want to participate in the decision-making. Why? Because they're used to it in their other industry. You need to understand this if you want to create teams that are all going to do that 1%. Because you have to learn to lead. Okay? And it's about the people. Younger people. They have difficulty with younger people because younger people are unimpressed with symbols. I'm going to tell you, these younger people, and let me tell you what, market Hong Kong, market Taiwan, market Malaysia, market America, market everybody, worldwide. We're getting younger and younger people. And you've got, the older people, such as myself, we need to learn how to deal with younger people, okay? They don't care too much for titles. Symbols don't mean anything to them. Baubles don't mean much to them. Ribbons don't mean much to them. Titles don't mean much to them. What means to them is, what are you doing to help create an environment where I can succeed, participate? I want to feel good about what I'm doing, okay? I want to feel like I'm on a team. Okay, I'm participating. What I create, what I contribute has value. Okay, so you need to be aware of these things. Okay, because let me tell you what, it's getting younger and younger, and we need younger and younger people in our organization to carry on. Okay, caution. The longer we stay at level 1, the longer we stay as a level 1 leader, the lower the morale of the team will be, and the higher the turnover. In other words, you will have people leaving, moving on to something else, because you're suffocating them. They're not growing. They're not getting anywhere, okay? So when I see a team with high turnover, okay, attrition, people not showing up, when you see that, what you know is you got low morale, high turnover, and the direct result, okay, is because we have level 1 leadership traits, constant. We're not growing. It's okay. Everybody starts out as a level 1, but you've got to grow into the next level. It's personal. It's personal growth. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the things that need to be mastered to move to the next level. You need to know your job description thoroughly. What's your job description? Your job description is exactly what I covered yesterday. That's your job. Your job is to duplicate that 1%, those 6 action items. That's your job. You need to know it, and you need to be doing it thoroughly, okay? You need to know the history of your organization. Know a little bit about the history of the company, a little bit of history about market Hong Kong, a little history with respect to the lineage in the line of sponsorship you came from. Very important. Very important. It's not only important for the new people to learn or the people just coming in, it's also important for the people that have been in that line of sponsorship years and years to pass that on. And what people want to know that they belong to something that has a history. Be a team player. Be a team player. Don't be so territorial. Be a team player. Listen, people ask me all the time, Kevin, why do you go all over the place? You speak here, train here, train here, train here, train here. You train all over the place that has nothing to do with you. You get no financial benefit. But I do. I do. Because the more people that succeed, the more people that develop, the more people that create ongoing residual income, they are models. They are validation for my people that are in my sales and distribution organizations. Everybody with me? One day, I'll have people that may have people in Hong Kong. They may sponsor people in Hong Kong. The more people that are making money in Hong Kong validates that the business model works. I never know when it's going to happen, but guess what? I want to create an environment in the future that it is going to be happening. Does everybody follow this? And you need to do the same thing. Wherever you're working, geographically, I don't care if you've got organizations in Malaysia, you've got organizations in Singapore, Taiwan, the U.S., Canada, doesn't matter. Wherever you're working, you need to embrace cross-line, because guess what? For your team to grow, for your team to thrive, strive, and succeed, long after you're not, you need that area to be successful. That area needs to be successful so that there are people, when your people need to plug people in there, there is a successful GMTSS, a successful unit going on there that they can plug into. We got to get rid of this zero-sum mentality. The zero-sum mentality, in other words, meaning if I get this much of the pie, that's less pie for everybody else. It doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. There are so many people out there to expose this business to. One person is not going to make or break your business. 10 people are not going to make or break your business. 100 people are not going to make or break your business long term. This is about being a team player. A team player. You need to accept responsibility. You need to accept responsibility. Personally, don't always look to blame somebody else. Okay? You need to learn to accept responsibility, that you have the ability. See, part of the thing is not just blame, but to accept the responsibility for the current situation, because guess what? You empower yourself to make a difference and change it. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Okay? Do your job with consistent excellence. Consistently be excellence. Okay? There's no such, none of us can be perfect. But we should strive for perfection. Because if we strive for perfection, guess what the worst thing we'll get? Excellence. You strive for perfection, the worst you're going to do is excellence. And in the very beginning, what do? You make sure that you're doing those 6 action items with excellence, so that you're setting the example. Your people will do what you do. They're not necessarily going to do what you tell them to do. Okay? Do more than expected. More than expected. You know where you can first start? Show up on time. Set the example. Don't wait. If the UBP starts at 7:30, be there at 7:15 with your people. Set the example. Be on time. Be on time. I can go on and give you examples, but one of the things that just drives me crazy is people being late for everything. When you're late, you devalue the meeting. You devalue the seminar. You devalue whatever it is, you're doing, a coring. You devalue it because guess what? You treat it with indifference. It's not that important. And the problem is you are sending a message to all the people that are looking to you with respect to leadership. Your people do what you do, not what you tell them to do. And they also do in amplification what you do in moderation. So if you're not doing something exactly right, they do something even worse. Does everybody follow me? If you're late 5 minutes, they're late 15. Do more than expected. Always do more than is expected. Okay, now let's move on to the next level, okay? Hopefully you're taking notes here, because let me tell you what, these things are going to serve you well as time goes by, okay? People follow you. At the next level, if you graduate into permission, relationships. This is where people, your team now they're not following you because you have the title, okay? Or you have the position. They are actually following you because they're giving you permission to be the leader. Why? Because you have developed relationships with these people, with your team, okay? It allows you to influence beyond your title, okay? Because when you create relationships, with individuals, it allows, all of a sudden they may look at you, the leader. Even if you're not in their line of sponsorship, they may look at you as one of the leaders, especially like within an area, okay? The thing is you need to develop relationships because what you're trying to do is influence beyond, okay? People work with you when they're not obligated to, okay? For level 2 leaders, they work with you even though they're not obligated to. They give you permission to be the leader. They know that you donate your time, your energy, your effort to them. You're interested in what? Focusing on their needs, what they want out of this business, okay? Now, I will share this with you right now. You can love people. You can love people without leading them. But you cannot lead people without loving them. They need to know that you love them. Even sometimes when you give them the impression that you don't, they know you do. Okay? Again, I will tell you this. You can love people without leading them, but you cannot lead them unless they know you love them and you have their interests at heart. Now, I will caution everyone that gets to this level. I will caution everyone, okay? Staying too long at this level without rising will cause highly motivated people to want to move on and look elsewhere. Staying too long at this level without rising will cause highly motivated people to become restless and want to move on. It's what we call the cookie club syndrome. You've heard probably JR talk about the cookie club. We got to break this I remember in the old day, he'd say, Kevin, you need to get in there, fly into LA with it, break that damn cookie club up. And what he meant by that was everybody's meeting, everybody loves everybody, we're all good in there, but nobody's getting any results. We need to get people paid, okay? We just don't meet. This is not the Mickey Mouse Club, okay? This is a business. This is a business. Viable, credible, legal, legitimate business. It's not a program, not a deal, not a game, not a club, not a cult. It's a business. And in business, we need people to make what? Money. We don't want to just all come together because we like each other. And liking each other, is it important? Yes. But let me tell you what, it's not a priority. I got a lot of people in my organization, not a lot, okay, but I have a few in my organization that I don't like, but I help them make more money than me. It's business. It's not personal. Let me tell you what, if they're willing to do what they're supposed to do, the 1% I talked about, and they're working to duplicate that 1% throughout their organization, I'm going to bust my behind to help them do it. And they will benefit from it. This personal stuff, whether I like them or I don't, it's business. It's business. How many of you in here, you don't need to raise hands, but you go into a 9-to-5 job, maybe now or before or whatever, and you don't necessarily like your supervisor. You don't like the person next to you in the other cubicle. You don't like your supervisor's boss. You detest them because you think they're just a dirty, rotten, stinking human being. And you wouldn't have them in your house to eat. You would never hang out. You don't like, but guess what? What do you do on Monday? You go into work, don't you? And have for the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Why? You got to pay the bills. Same thing here. This is a business. Has nothing to do with liking somebody. It's business. If they perform, you invest your time, energy, and effort into them. Okay? Put that stuff aside. But remember, we got to move on. We have to move on and grow. Characteristics that must be mastered on this level. Okay? to advance. You must possess a genuine love of people. Okay? Listen. Patience is not one of my virtues when it comes to people. Okay? People have known me a long time, know that. But I work very, very hard at trying to be patient, trying to be empathetic, because I do love people. I do. I love all of you. I wouldn't be here if I didn't love you. Okay? But the thing is I also know that it's tough love as well. Because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made. I want you to, it's kind of like children. It's like our kids, you want them to learn, you want them to be successful, and we do all we can to make it as easy for them to be successful. A lot of times we end up making it so easy, we end up not doing a good job, okay? It's all about balance. It's all about balance, okay? But you have to have a genuine love for people. You make those who you work with more successful. Really, that's what it's all about. I just want more and more people to be more successful. I want more people out there making significant, ongoing residual income. I've seen this work for tens of thousands of people over 26, almost 27 years. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands a year. I'm talking I've seen tens of thousands of people take this business model and make an extra 11,500 Hong Kong, if you will, every single month, every 2 weeks. Now, you think about it, honestly. What would an extra 11,500 Hong Kong dollars every 4 weeks coming in like clockwork do for most people's financial situation, okay, after maybe working this business 12 months? Pretty significant, I would imagine. Think about it, okay? So I'm not into selling gigantic amounts of money. We can make a huge difference by everybody doing what? Just a little bit. And then everybody will be in a position to make as much as they desire. Why? Because we will have empowered them to do so. We've taught them how to build a leg so they can go on and build as many legs as they want to. See through other people's eyes. You've got to be able to see things through other people's eyes. You're going to have situations come up where you're going to have yourself and somebody else, with conflicting ideas, okay? Or you're going to have two people in your team that have conflicting ideas, okay? You have to learn to see things through each one of their eyes so that you can what? Come to some common ground, okay? You can't shut them out. You've got to, maybe I've run into a lot of people that, they have a very differing point of view than mine. But I have to try to see things through their eyes to recognize why they think the way they think, so that I can find a solution so that we can move on. Maybe without compromising, but at least empathize, and I can see why you think that. Okay, I can see why you see that. One of my favorite stories is about this father, okay, in China, and he was one of the richest men, if not the richest man in the entire province. And he had a 6-year-old son. And they lived a life of privilege. It was they were so rich it wasn't funny. But the father wanted to teach the son how lucky he was. He wanted to teach the son how lucky and how fortunate he was. So he went and he contacted a very poor family in a remote part of the province and asked them if he could bring his son and spend one day and one night with that family. Because he wanted to show his son how poor people could be. So they went, they spent the day, they spent the night, came back, and the father asked the son, "Son, how did you like your trip?" He says, "Very much, Father." He says, "Did you see, son, how poor people can be?" He says, "Yes, Father, I did." He says, "And what did you see?" He said, "I saw that we have one dog, they have 5. We have a pool that reaches from our back door all the way to the fence in the courtyard. They have a stream that has no end. We have lanterns that light up our entire backyard and our front yard at night. They have over 1 million stars. Father, thank you for showing me how poor we are. You say, it's all about what? Point of view, perspective. And whenever you're dealing with your team, people in your team or whatever, remember, try to see things how they see things. How they see things are from a different point of view, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any merit. Try to find the merit in it so that you can come to real resolution. Do win-win or don't do it at all. If it's not duplicatable, don't do it. Okay? Include others in your journey. Take as many people with you. That has to go with what? Your goal and objective should be to what? Have 2 people at least, or 4, or as many as you can, making as much or more money than you. Okay? Include others in your journey. Okay? Deal wisely with difficult people. Deal wisely with difficult people. Don't let it fester, okay? Because it's going to come back and bite you in the rear end. You ignore it, it's not going away. Okay? Characteristics that must be mastered. 1, to advance to the next level. Okay? The 3rd level, all right, is you need to initiate and accept responsibility. Initiate and accept responsibility for the growth of your organization or the lack of your growth. Okay? You need to accept responsibility. Again, I'm going to go back to your level of success in this business is going to be directly proportional to your willingness to take personal responsibility of the end result. Develop and follow a statement of purpose. Develop a statement of purpose for your team. Okay? What's your goal and objective? The thing is you've got to have a statement of purpose. The statement of purpose with my team is what we do is we do those 6 action items. 6 action items, and then what we do is we do that, and we act on that, and we take action, and then what we do when we go to fill out, and we set those in motion, and we're already doing the business. Okay? When you go and you start to fill out the getting started guide, line by, all of a sudden you realize why. Why? Because it makes more sense. You're actually teaching. See, a lot of people think that you're going to learn this business by sitting in this seat. A lot of people think that you're going to learn this business by going to a Basic 5, going to an NUOT, going to a local seminar. That is not where you learn to do the business. You become aware of the things that you need to do in the business to become successful, but where you really learn the business and where you really teach the business is when you're doing the business with your people. People learn by experience. They are participative learners. They're experiential learners. They learn by doing. They learn by observing. They learn by modeling. They learn through visualization. They are not good learners in a cognitive setting, meaning sitting in a chair. Listen to a maniac rant and rave. Okay? Know and do the things that give high return. You need to know what gives the highest return. What gives the highest return? Our Market Hong Kong products. Second highest return, our partner store products. But we need to know what gives the highest return because that's where we want our human resources, our team to focus. Why? Because that's what gets them paid. People get paid. They didn't get into this business to make no money. They got into the business to get paid, to earn, to change their financial situation for the better. So what we want to do is make sure they're focusing on things of the highest return for their time, energy, and effort spent. Communicate and strategize the vision of the organization. Okay, where we're all going. The whole idea is, the vision is I want to have 4 millionaire club members on the left organization, 4 in the right. I want to have 4 directors in the left, 4 in the right. In other words, and the vision. But paint the vision so that they see what the vision is for the organization because they want to be part of that vision. Okay? So the thing, make sure you can communicate the strategy and the vision for the organization. Okay? Now, the next level, if we master those things, we will move to the next level. The next level is where we all aspire to be. We all aspire to be here, the level 4. Level 4, okay? National supervising coordinators to director and higher, this is where you need to be. If you're not there yet, and it's okay, but what we need to be doing is at this level. Why? Because as a national supervising coordinator, you have significant numbers of people on your team. Directors, significant number of people. Higher pin levels, significant numbers of people. You need to be here. This is where you need to be in order to effectively do what? Ensure duplication within the organization. Now, you get here because people follow you because of what you've done for them. What you've done for them. The leader here is highly effective because of their ability to empower people to be very, very successful. Very successful. The leader's highly effective here. This is where you get duplication. This is where you get people reproducing duplication. Your commitment to developing leaders ensures your long-term growth. When you're developing tiers of leaders, in other words, you've got lots of people growing. They're capable. Remember, you see the ABC pattern of build it, follow up, and building depth in the organization. A, B, C, A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2. Those are tiers of leadership. Okay, that's where you're getting what you're duplicated in those tiers over and over. By doing that in depth, it ensures that your income will continue on long, long, long after you're gone. You with me? Listen, I know for a fact that when I pass away, a lot of my leaders, my pin levels, they're going to be at my funeral. But then they're going to be going, they got people to see, meetings to go to, trainings to conduct, things to do to keep their income going. You with me? And that's okay with me. Because that income that they're going to continue to generate for themselves is going to continue to generate income for my family, my granddaughter, my great-granddaughter. It will be a legacy. But the key is we've got to help a lot of people get what they want in order for us to get what we want. Okay? And that's what this level's all about. Okay? Now, caution here. Caution. New people may view you as a position leader because you have had no contact with them. I want to stress this. People in your organization, even though you have helped many, 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 many people and empowered many, many people to be successful, the people in their organizations, to them, if you have no contact with them, they may view you as nothing more than a level 1 leader. You are the leader because of your title. You are the leader because of your position. But you've had no contact with them. You have done nothing to empower them. Their leaders have, you have not. So, that being said, I tell all of you, once you get to this level, make sure you walk through the crowd slowly. What do I mean by the crowd? Your team. Everybody that creates BV, that gets you paid, make sure you walk through that team slowly. Find ways to touch every one of those people. I'm not saying sit down and do one-on-ones and two-on-ones with them or whatever, but things like showing up to the local seminars that they populate and they attend. Show your physical presence so that they can tell the story of their line of sponsorship. These are our leaders within our lines of sponsorship. They started this line. They created the success in this line. Walk slowly through them. Touch them. Take time. Spend time with them. Build a relationship. See, this business is a relationship building business. It's a conversation business. That's how we expand our sales and distribution organization. But it's a relationship building. Your business is only as strong as the relationships you build with the people on your team. And I don't mean just a few people. I mean everybody. So you look for every opportunity to at least engage in a conversation with people that create BV and help you get paid. Show up to your GMTSS meetings. Okay, if you've got a local in your area, or you got a local going on where 50%, 40%, you've got a significant amount of unfranchised owners that are on your team attending that local, you find ways to hit those locals and you attend them with them and use that opportunity to build that relationship. We use the word building all the time, building our unfranchised, okay? It is truly like building a building. Every single unfranchised owner on your team can be represented, I don't mean literally, but figuratively, as a brick. They are bricks. And what keeps those bricks in place, intact, when it's bad weather, when there's a storm, when it's getting attacked, whatever any force is hitting, what keeps that building intact is the relationships. It's the strength of the concrete in between those bricks. And that concrete, that mortar, is the relationships you build with your teammates. Is everybody with me? And your teammates are not just the first 20, 30, 10 pin levels below you. Your teammates is everybody from the person you personally sponsored in the very beginning to the last person that came into your line of sponsorship. You need to find ways to walk slowly through that crowd and touch everybody. Any opportunity you get to make them feel good or make them feel important, develop some kind of engagement, you need to take that opportunity. So continue, and you do this by continuing to teach your 20%ers. Listen, the Pareto Principle is simple. 20% of your people generate 80% of your business. 20% of the activities that are conducted in your organization create 80% of your production. Your job is to identify the 20% of the activities and the 20% of the people that you are going to work with those people to work those activities, because that's what gets people paid. And you continue to teach your 20%ers. You find the 20, and I'm not talking about the people just the big pin levels directly underneath you necessarily, or that you're certified executive coordinators, your master coordinators, directors, just depending on where you're at. But the thing is you're working with your 20%ers. Who are 20% of the people in my team is generating 80% of the business. I want to find out who those 20%ers are, and I want to reach out and engage with them. Does everybody follow me? I don't care whether it's through corings, webinars, physical, whatever, but you need to reach out and develop those relationships, because over time, it's the mortar and the concrete of your business. Characteristics that must be mastered in order to move on. You must realize that people are your most valuable asset. I don't care. I'll go right back to the beginning. Okay, the business works perfect until we introduce the people. But let me tell you what, the people are not the detriment. The people are a necessary part of the business. They are your most valuable asset, and that's where the work begins. It's about getting 100 people to duplicate the 1% that was identified yesterday. Okay, your priority is to develop people. You need to be a model for others to follow. Be a model for others to follow. People do what you do, not what you tell them to do, okay? All right. Pareto Principle, I just talked about it. 20-80 rule. 20% of the people generate 80% of your production. 20% of the activities conducted are going to produce 80% of your production. Make sure your people are what? Focused on what gets them paid. Now, the other thing is you want to attract other winners. other winners, other producers to the common goal. And what I mean is you want to attract them to the common goal, which is what? The vision for the team. And you want them to be partners with you. That's where you want to develop these people to become leaders. Okay? The thing is we got to keep things duplicated. We can't all of a sudden somebody becomes a leader or a pin level, and then I go off and they're doing something totally different. You lose that systematic approach to the business. That's why we call it the unfranchised. Okay? It's based on systems. You got to have duplicatable systems. I've seen a lot of things come down the road that are very productive, but 95% of the people that make up your sales and distribution teams or your teams, they can't do those things. They're not, so it's not duplicatable. It might be okay for a few that can pull it off, but if 95% of your people cannot pull it off, they can't duplicate it, it's not worth doing. It goes back to that win-win or don't do it. Does everybody get this? Okay? It's all about what? It's not about one person doing it all. We don't want to have our enterprise rely on something only 5 people can do, or 2%, 3% of the organization. It will not last. Okay, caution here. I already talked about that. Okay? Now, the next thing. When we move on, most of us are never going to get here. Some of us will, maybe. I don't know. I share this with you just because it's the 5th level. Okay? And that's the one with personhood, respect. People follow the level 5 leader because who they are and what they represent. Who they are and what they represent. Only a lifetime of proven leadership will allow someone to sit at that level. They basically put people at that level. It's not something like earned. It's not like a badge or anything like that. The level is reserved for leaders who have spent years of growing people and growing organizations. Okay? It's a lifetime type of an achievement. And it's bestowed by the people that they have affected and influenced. Okay? Characteristics that define this level of leadership. They never squander an opportunity to lead. They never squander an opportunity to lead. Even though they've gotten to the highest level, they never squander an opportunity to lead, set the example, and do what's best for the people that follow. The followers are loyal. They're sacrificial, even sacrificial. Now, I don't mean like Aztec, slit open the heart, pull the heart out, sacrifice to the God sacrifice. What I'm talking about is maybe that leader may ask you to do something you really don't want to do. You really don't want to do. But they'll end up doing it because they know that you would do it. So that's what I mean. It's sacrificial. Okay? You have become a statesman, consultant, sought out by others. Greatest joy comes from watching other people grow. They've already arrived. They've got theirs. They've done well. They're okay. But the thing is their greatest joy now comes from seeing other people get theirs. All right? And they basically transcend the organization. Now, let me give you some insights into leadership. Insights into leadership. The higher you go, the longer it takes. The higher you go, okay, as you go higher from level 1, level 2, level 3, 4, level 5, okay, the higher you go, the longer it takes. This is not something that happens in a day, 2 years, 3 years, okay? It takes a while. The higher you go, the higher level of commitment it takes. You have to be committed to want to grow as a leader. It has to be a priority. If your business is a priority, you will grow. The higher you go, the easier it is to lead. The higher you go, when you're level 3, level 4, okay, what happens is it becomes easier to lead the masses and get large numbers of people to do what needs to be done so that everybody has the opportunity to succeed, okay? The higher you go, the greater the growth. The higher you go, the greater the growth. You never leave the base level. Very important. You never, ever leave the base level. A level 5 leader, a level 4 leader, level 3 leader, they never leave the base level. What do I mean by that? Anytime the opportunity comes up to execute level 1 leadership skills, level 2, level 3, level 4 leadership skills, they always take the opportunity and they never leave the base just because they show up on time. They show up on time. They show respect. Even though they've arrived, they show respect. For a leader to remain effective, it is essential that you take other influencers with you. I saw James Quo. He made an analogy one time that I think is very apropos to what I'm talking about. It's about like a kite, okay? James talked about a kite. And you have a lot of little kites that you want to attach, the leaders that the people you identified that you want to take with you. Why? Because they're doing what needs to be done. And the whole idea is the kite, you want it to go as high as possible, but you want all those other little kites attached to the string so the big kite takes them with them. It's about making sure that your people go with you and they achieve heights as the kite achieve heights. Make sure that you take other influencers with you. Why? Because it gives you more effectiveness as a leader. The more leaders that you have committed to your vision, your statement of purpose, of what you want to do, the more people you can influence to do the right thing. Okay? And you need to know what level you're at all times. At all times, you need to know what level you're at so that you're always looking for the opportunities to grow as a leader. And the leader you grow through demonstration, demonstrating those things that get you to the next level. Do your job with consistent excellence. These are my basic 5 with respect to being a leader. I tried to go through all these and give you the 5 points that really summarize. Do your job with consistent excellence. What is that? The 1% that I described yesterday. Make sure you implement the 20-80 rule, okay? 20% of your people, that's who you work with. They'll influence the other people. But work with those 20%ers, the people that create 80% of your production. Identify the 20% of the activities that create 80% of your production. Don't let go of Big Mo. Once you've got momentum, whatever you do, don't let go of it. One of the biggest things, the biggest mistakes I see people make is when they get to a certain level, they let go of the momentum that they had. How many people have ever seen JR with the pump? Right? What it is, he work, pump, and all of a sudden the water comes. Now that pump will start to work itself, won't it? Once you get it primed. And all you have to do is put your finger or your hand on there just to keep that pump going, and you get the gigantic flow of water, don't you? The mistake is a lot of people, they think they've arrived, they've got there, they walk away and they let the pump go. All of a sudden that pump quits pumping. It pumps for a while, but all of a sudden it stops. Now what they've done is they've let go of momentum. They took their eye off the prize. They left it up to people. They don't have enough people making money underneath them. They think they do, but they don't. You got to have more and more leaders. Is everybody with me? And you take your eye out, you take your hand off of it. Next thing you know, that pump stops. And then we're scrambling around trying to get it. But guess what? It's harder to get that pump primed again than it was the first time. You know why? Shouldn't take any longer to get that pump primed, should it? How many times did you have to pump that pump in order to get the well primed and the water out? You don't know because you weren't keeping track. All you were doing was the things necessary, and you knew sooner or later you'd get it. Problem is now, guess what? When you go back to that pump, it's not so easy to grab that pump handle and start cranking again. Why? Because mentally, you knew it may not come on the 3rd or 4th pump. It may take a lot of pumps again. So what I'm saying is, I'm sharing with you, don't make that mistake. Once you get that momentum, once you get that going, do not take your hand off the pump completely. Granted, you can go away, and the thing is, it's going to pump. But make sure you're close enough to keep that thing going. What do I mean by that? It's an example of make sure you're always working with your 20%ers. Make sure you stay in contact. Keep those relationship opportunities going, okay? That's what I mean, okay? Never separate yourself, okay? Know that, make sure that you know and do the things that create high return, and then realize people are your most valuable resource. Make sure you do everything you can to empower people. Create independent and franchise owners. Teach people how to fish. Don't give them a fish. Teach them how to fish so they can feed themselves. They'll be much happier with you in the long term. Okay? That's my basic 5 with respect to this leadership. Okay? Now, I should back up. Okay. It's been great here coming back to Market Hong Kong. I thank you. I thank Anthony. I thank Market Hong Kong's corporate team for inviting me. I love Hong Kong. I love Asia. I have a great time here. Love the food. I always tell myself I'm going to be disciplined. I'm actually going to lose weight this time. Never happens. Never happens. As soon as I leave here, I'll be feeding my face. I know it. I said this morning, I got up and said, have discipline. Be disciplined. Not going to happen. Breakfast, it was all over. Okay? But it's been a great weekend. We've had some tremendous speakers, tremendous content. And, this business is not hard. It can be difficult at times, but it is not hard. Sometimes I think we make it hard. We make it more difficult than it really is because we don't let it come to us. We have a tendency not to enjoy it. We need to find ways to enjoy it. We need to make sure that we're enjoying it so that we communicate physically with the people we're talking to. This is something they want to be a part of. Something they want to be a part of. You know, when I first got in the business, and the thing is here's the deal. If you're not satisfied with where you're at this business right now, and you're doing the things necessary to be successful, and you still haven't got where you want to go, trust me, it took me a year to become an executive coordinator. I know how you feel. But the thing is this, you can be successful. You will be successful as long as you continue doing the right things. And the only reason you haven't achieved the success maybe that you desire right now is you just haven't found the right people. You haven't found the right people to be on your team. That's all. It's about finding the right people. And those people are out there. You need to let them come to you. But in order to find them, you've got to engage with people. You have to engage with people. You have to initiate a conversation. You have to keep dialogue going. You need to try to uncover what's painful for them and be part of their solution. Be part of their solution. Whether it be a product solution, whether it be a financial solution with the business, or, you know what, just listening. It has nothing to do with product, has nothing to do with the business financially. Just be a listener. If it happens, it happens. If not, it doesn't matter. But maybe later. Maybe later. The second person that I ever talked to about the business told me no, he was not interested. Okay, you got to remember we had nothing. Okay, but I couldn't explain that way. He said, "Get away from me, get away from me, Kevin." Okay, it's one of those things. He didn't want anything to do, but it was somebody I really respected, I liked. He wasn't a friend of mine, but it was somebody I respected and liked. And I thought, I just saw he worked for me in a procedure upgrade project, and I thought he'd be great for the business. But he was the wrong person, and I tried to say all the right things, but you know what? It was just no. And the more I tried to say the right things, the more irritated he got with me. So it was a lesson learned. Just leave it alone. Move on. Next. But I had plenty of people to go. So I licked my wounds and I moved on. But I learned from it. I will share something with you. That was when I was still at the nuclear plant. I was the highest paid contractor on site. But I continued to build that business. Licked my wounds, moved on. 27 months later, I left that site, that nuclear site. I quit. That guy ran in to the maintenance manager, okay, the maintenance of the maintenance department at the nuclear plant in the cafeteria, and he told Craig that Kevin was leaving the island. He heard it in the general manager's staff meeting. And Craig said, what's he going to do? Where's he going? Is he going to another plant? What's he going to, the whole thing? He says, no, you know that thing he talks to everybody about? Yeah, he says, that's what he's going to do. So you got to be kidding me. The guy makes a fortune. That's what he's going to do. So that was like, I don't know when he heard, I guess it was the previous week or that Monday. Well, Tuesday night, Dennis Franks, who is my sponsor, we are doing a UBP at the Holiday Inn in Bridgeport, New Jersey. And Dennis did the products, and I was coming in to show the compensation plan. And I arrived a little late because of work. I got there, walked in. Guess who was sitting in the front row right there? I came down. Guess who was sitting right there? Craig. I was like, Craig, what are you doing here? Who invited you here? Because I'm thinking, I'm going to get that person. Yeah, I know. I have the same feelings. So I said, what are you doing here? He says, Louis No City said, the general plant not the plant manager, but the maintenance manager said, you're leaving. I said, yeah, I am. He says, my God, what do you mean? He said, you going to do this? I said, yeah. I said, but who invited you? All I could think of, who invited you here? He's like, hey, listen, if you're quitting this, I need to see what you're doing. 27 months after he told me no, get out of his office. Guess what? He came into the business. I sponsored him into the business. 36 months later, he hit director. Now, Craig passed away a year ago, okay, from cancer. Fought it for a lot of years, fought it hard. But the thing is no, the point I'm trying to share with you is this. No doesn't mean no. It just means maybe later. Sometimes things change, okay? So don't push too hard. Sometimes just let it come to you. Just continue doing what you're doing. And just remember, you cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. And by the same token, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. But what's important is that you're saying something. You're saying something. Initiate the conversation. Keep the dialogue going. Okay? And you never know. You never know. But the business works. If you work it, it works perfectly. We just got to do what? We got to go through it to get to it. Whatever it is that we want out of this business. Last thing I'll share. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. This business is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I've gotten more out of this business than money. And you will too. Trust me. Just continue on this journey with us. It's going to be bigger than you have any idea. Okay? Thank you. God bless you, Mark and Hong Kong. I'll see you hopefully next year. Bye-bye.